In the heart of the Pleistocene, a world draped in ice. Survival was a relentless battle fought against the elements. This was a time when humanity, armed with little more than courage and ingenuity, carved out an existence at the very edge of possibility. The world was frozen, but the human spirit was not. Fire, a flickering beacon of hope, was the center of their universe. It was warmth against the biting cold, a shield against the predators that stalked the endless night, and the alchemist that turned raw meat into life-sustaining meals. Around these precious flames, stories were told, bonds were forged, and the future of our species was kindled. Our ancestors were masters of this frozen domain. They understood its rhythms, its dangers, and its fleeting opportunities. Take fishing, for instance. Imagine the patience and skill required to chip through a meter of solid ice. Not with metal tools, but with painstakingly crafted stone and bone. The piercing cold would seep through their fur clothing, their breath crystallizing in the air. Yet they persisted. Dropping a line, baited with a sliver of preserved meat, into the dark, frigid water below was an act of faith. When a fish was finally pulled through that small opening, it was more than just a meal. It was a victory, a testament to their resilience. Every catch was a communal triumph, shared amongst the clan. Nothing was wasted. What wasn't eaten immediately was preserved, frozen in natural ice caches, or smoked over the precious fire, a store of energy for the lean days ahead. This foresight, this ability to plan for a future they might not see, was a cornerstone of their survival. Life depended on what they could create with their own hands. The animals they hunted provided more than just food. They were the raw material for their entire existence. The process of tanning hides was a crucial, albeit arduous, technology. Scraping the flesh from a massive bison or deer hide was backbreaking work, followed by a meticulous process of stretching, treating with brains, and smoke and softening the material by chewing and rubbing it until it was pliable. This transformed a stiff, raw skin into a supple, weather-resistant leather. From this material, with bone needles and sinew thread, they sewed intricate, multi-layered clothing. Hoods, parkas, trousers, and mittens, perfectly tailored to trap body heat and repel moisture. These weren't just garments. They were personal survival systems. The difference between life and death in a world where a drop in core body temperature could be fatal. Alongside this, their stone tool technology was a marvel of applied physics. They could read a piece of flint or obsidian like a book, understanding its internal structure to strike it at the perfect angle. With each precise blow, they would flake off razor-sharp blades for cutting, robust points for spears, and sturdy scrapers for working hides. A well-made stone tool was a work of art, a beautiful and deadly extension of the human will. But they were not alone in this struggle. In the shadows of the firelight, another species watched and waited. The domestication of the wolf was perhaps one of the most significant partnerships in history. It began not as a conquest, but as a cautious alliance. Perhaps it was a lost pup raised by the clan, or a gradual coexistence built on shared hunting grounds. Over generations, these wild hunters became loyal companions. They were early warning systems against marauding cave bears, tireless partners in tracking and bringing down large prey, and warm bodies to huddle with during impossibly cold nights. This bond between human and dog was forged in the crucible of the Ice Age, a symbiotic relationship that benefited both. Beyond their animal companions, their understanding of the natural world extended to medicine. They knew which plants could soothe a wound, which barks could reduce a fever. They cared for their sick and injured, using splints to set broken bones, evidence of which we find in the fossil record, in skeletons that show healed fractures. And when a life was lost, it was not the end. Their burial rituals speak volumes about their spiritual beliefs. They laid their dead to rest with care, often with tools, ornaments, and offerings of red ochre, a pigment symbolizing blood and life. These acts show us they conceived of an afterlife, a world beyond the ice. They mourned, they remembered, and they believed in something more. As the millennia passed, the great ice sheets began to stir. The climate, once brutally stable, began to shift. The world was changing, and our ancestors changed with it. They were a nomadic people, their lives dictated by the movement of the great herds of mammoth, bison, and reindeer that were their lifeblood. The Great Migration was not a single event, but a constant, generational journey. Following the herds meant following their food source. This journey south was an epic odyssey across a transforming landscape. They traveled light, carrying only what was essential: their tools, their children, and the embers of their sacred fire. They crossed vast, windswept plains, navigated treacherous mountain passes, and forded rivers swollen with glacial meltwater. Each new valley presented new challenges and new resources. They learned to hunt new animals, gather new plants, and adapt their strategies to a world that was slowly, inexorably warming. This transition from a frozen world to a greener one was the final great test of the Ice Age. The skills, the knowledge, and the unbreakable spirit honed over thousands of years in the harshest environment on Earth had prepared them. They not only survived the Ice Age, they conquered it, carrying the legacy of their ancestors into a new world, a world they had earned. Their journey is our journey. It is the story of human endurance, innovation, and the unquenchable fire of survival that burns within us all. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey into the past fascinating, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more stories from our deep history.